and welcome to our second to last NASEF Farmcraft stream that we have this season. Today we're going to kind of bring everyone back together to talk a little bit about how we grew this garden that is NASEF Farmcraft, to kind of show everyone examples of how you can work with different groups and different team players to create awesome things for students and for learning. And so we are, as you can see, we are in Minecraft already today. And so I kind of want to just hop right into it. I have some guests in here, but we're actually going to go into the secret room in NASEF Farmcraft and catch our guests that are going to get our conversation started today. So for those that don't know, NASEF Farmcraft started off as a seedling of an idea between some folks at the U.S. Department of State. So we're going to go inside here and find Dr. Kate Furby and Dr. Adam Cornish. So ultimately, you held the packet of seeds at the start of this all. So if you don't mind sharing with everyone tuning in with us today, how it came to be using Minecraft specifically and bringing in conversations about agriculture and food and how we bring them all together.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sam. So as some of you might remember me from one or two of the other streams, my name's Adam Cornish. And over here we have, go ahead, Kate.
And Kate Furby.
There we go.
We've both been on some of the pre-season streams before. We're the original. We came up with this idea to do this crazy program. We were both AAAS Science Technology Policy Fellows at the State Department, although Adam has since moved on to a permanent position, which is great.
Yeah, they hired me, which I'm shocked and awed by every day. Mm-hmm. But so I'm an agricultural advisor at the State Department. While Kate, you can describe what you do there a little bit better than I can.
Yeah, so I am in the bureau that's called Educational and Cultural Affairs, and I work on a small team called the Collaboratory, and we create innovative pilot programs to facilitate exchange. So the Fulbright is in our bureau, for example. So we're interested in connecting people around the world. And so this is definitely one of the more fun ways that we get to do that.
Well, and talking about fun, I mean, first of all, let's just show, so this is as far as I've been told, this was a secret room that was built for unexplained purposes. So, but theoretically, people can find it. And they designed a hot tub. And I just think that's really cool. And apparently, it's also infinitely bouncy. But talking more about fun, and I guess, Kate, you're still left out at the moment. You can join if you want. Anyway, talk about fun. You know, agriculture is complicated and it's got a lot of moving parts, and we don't really get to interface with it much. We don't really get to see what agriculture is a lot of the time. You'll drive past a field, you have things at the marketplace, but you don't really get that connection sometimes. And so honestly, I was sitting with Kate. We were at a coffee table at the State Department, which honestly looks kind of like this room. It's kind of bland. No water, no hot tub, unfortunately. And
back when we could have in-person meetings.
We'll do it again soon, maybe. And I was just like, well, I'd like people to understand more about agriculture, but how do you make it fun? How do you make it interesting? And Kate and I just brainstormed ideas, and we were, at the time, this was before COVID hit, we were like, hey, let's actually go out and have kids work in their gardens at home or at school and talk with their friends about it and all those other things. And Kate's like, yeah, that's kind of cool, but it's not that much fun, blah, blah, blah. And
I didn't say gardening wasn't fun. Gardening's fun. I was into it. Sure. We do a lot of work with embassies all around the world. And I remember being excited to have help the embassies make little gardens.
That's true. But you were also like, there's a lot of complicating factors and maybe or maybe not. And then the entire world shut down with COVID. And I honestly completely forgot about it. I'm like, I got other things to do, like talk about corn. But then Kate came to me, and what happened, Kate?
Animal Crossing was super popular at the beginning of the pandemic, and I was just like watching people play it. I never got to play it myself, but I was like, maybe we could make a State Department version of Animal Crossing and do a virtual gardening agricultural exchange that way. So then we connected with another one of our colleagues who does video game diplomacy at the State Department. Shout out to Josh Shen. And he's the one who connected us with our lovely team at NASEF. And in fact, he was connected with them through the Mexico City embassy. So shout out to Mexico, because they were our original posts that we got on board. And that if without them, we wouldn't have started the program.
Yeah.
That was a great start for how our relationship evolved. And if I may just take a minute, and I'm Gerald Solomon, the executive director of NASEF, and special thanks to this team, Adam and Kate in particular, and then our experts who you can see here. If I may, I'll take a minute and kind of give the history of how it all started. It seems a bit circuitous, but it really was a pretty straight pathway. Some of you who are on this call know a fellow named Alejandro Barron, who is a representative at the embassy in Mexico City. And he had heard about us and actually pinged us on info@ in our general mailbox and said, I'd like to learn more. So had the opportunity to actually, after several conversations, fly to Mexico City, spend some time with him. And through the Benjamin Franklin Library American Space, started talking about a variety of different concepts in ways in which we could help Mexico think about esports and gaming. At that point, Minecraft and all of this wasn't even in a glimmer of our eye. And then COVID came. And when COVID came, they reached out and said, help, none of our public students in public education are going to school, signing on. How do we engage them? What do we do? And we thought about some different ways to do it. And I had an opportunity to contact two colleagues and friends, Eric Leitner and Steve Isaacs. And then Steve brought in his wife, Kathy, and we started to brainstorm about, so what do we do? And we created something called the COVID-19 Challenge, which was using Minecraft, developed in a game by Eric and Kathy and then Steve, where students would be able to build the COVID-19 virus, the COVID home they would want to live in, and the COVID medical facility they would want to be treated in. And as we were doing this and then launching it, we used Anáhuac University and the public educational system in Mexico. After we launched it, to our shock and surprise, we had over 3,000 students who registered. Alejandro said, I've got to share this with a fellow named Josh Shen. And from there, Josh started the ball moving, introduced our concepts, I believe, with Adam and Kate. And then as things progressed and Adam and Kate started thinking about what to do, we set up this whole working group. And then Samantha, as she always does, kind of took the lead, ran with it, became the project manager, and really has helped lead the whole effort and program here, and brought in then with some support, Eric, Kathy as leads, Brian coming in to build the world, and that's what brings us to today. So this could not happen but for Mexico City, Kate. So thank you for the shout out to them. It really was our effort with them that brought us to this point. And hopefully as successful as I think we are in this partnership and collaboration, it will continue in many ways in the future where we can really have an impact to meet the goals and objectives that you all have and the State Department has to really have impact for people around the world.
You know, Gerald, I've been saying forever that I'm going to get you into the Minecraft world, and we couldn't quite get you in today, so I forced you in by creating an NPC with your name on it. So you're here whether you like it or not.
Okay. Yeah, but that character looks a lot younger than I am.
I was giving you the benefit
Thank you,
of
Eric,
the
for
doubt.
making it nice.
The beauty of video games.
That's right. You could be anything you want in the video game. That's how that works. Adam has chosen mad scientist. That's fine.
This is how I look.
So what do you say we continue the conversation outside? So this is the same world we've been playing our various playthroughs in on our streams, and some of you may have noticed that if you do play again or start over once you have finished a playthrough by talking to one of the NPCs in whichever biome you've chosen, and then you talk to the mayor. So if you didn't talk to the mayor after completing one or more biomes, you may not have noticed that something does unlock. So if you talk to him, oops, I'm still in world builder mode because we're in a sort of edit mode here for this stream, but basically he tells you that the concrete is now dry and that this floor below is now available. So let's head downstairs. Ooh. And we can continue our conversation out here because there is a whole other challenge out here, and some of you may not have been aware of it. And that is to build your own addition to the lab. So Brian, tell us about this little addition and why we chose to include it.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks to Steve Isaacs for getting me introduced to the group here. Super happy, like it was a competition. So like I didn't have a good sense of what that meant other than it was a competition, right? And so I set out to create something that was painful, because that's what a competition is in my mind, apparently. But no, I wanted to create something that really resonated with the way people play games, but also try to capture the essence of what we're trying to accomplish with connecting with communities around the world. And one of the aspects of it, I think this may have been like the initial primary vision for it, was to create like a build your own kind of environment. And what I did was built this entire massive game with all these different challenges and thought processes that I thought were interesting. And then we added this, which is the creative piece. So a lot of people, some people like the challenge, some people don't like the challenge, but they want the creativity and the experience. And so this gives you an opportunity to kind of create your own vision for farming. And I put it up with a lab because I wanted people to think of, like, if I were to change the way things worked after playing this game, like I hope when you played the game, you thought, I can't do that, or I don't want to do that, or that's not right. Anytime, whether it was the pests or it was the chemicals or it was the process or it was the time or the money, whatever it was, if there was something that you that didn't sound right or feel right for you, I want you to figure out, like, how can you be the one to change that? And that's what this addition for the lab is your vision for the future, and you build it and make it part of the future.
I love that. So let's, while we're building and causing chaos, let's talk about that process, right? So this is some background on just this little spot, but let's quickly talk about how we got to this point, because I remember vividly all of the excitement around this opportunity, and then my panic, admittedly, around the idea of, oh wait, we have to create a game world, which led to our introduction, Kathy and I's introduction, which I know some of us knew each other in other ways, but on the project, to you. So I want to talk briefly about the process of how this happened. Like, how did we decide what was going to go into the game from an educational standpoint? How did we decide what elements were going to be in there when it came to student choice? And how that sort of, I don't know, how that thought process and that brainstorming kind of worked out, because it was a fun one, but it wasn't without its mild frustrations.
Yeah, definitely, like taking some of my own experience with struggles of trying to grow food in my own yard and realizing how difficult that is in competing with nature, whether it be the sun, the rain, or the animals or the insects, realizing like, wow, this is really complicated and difficult. And if you had to do it as a means to survive, that'd be really challenging. And I think that's one of the things that we're trying to get at with talking about food security and figuring out like how how are we going to feed people around the world as the population continues to grow? We need to get better at dealing with these issues. And that's kind of, you know, that's like a commercial industrial kind of thing. Like feeding billions of people is not a necessarily just a backyard situation, especially when you realize you're in different biomes that may not lend themselves to growing a balanced diet, you know. I thought that was interesting, and that was one of the inspirations. So I tried to figure out, like, how can I gamify this? First of all, like Minecraft farming, everybody knows it. I have kids. I've hosted a Minecraft camp every Tuesday for 5 years straight. I know what kids do in Minecraft. I get it. And I was thinking everyone's going to make their automatic farm that they saw somebody else make, you know, and I didn't want that in this case, because we wanted to kind of get the conversation going on the topic more so than like what you're able to reproduce in Minecraft in this scenario. So that's why I changed. And I love programming and I love making games in Minecraft. So I changed the way farming works entirely so that so we can have a new fun experience. And the spreadsheet I made, I honestly overwhelmed myself. It was a lot, but I made a prototype spreadsheet of all the different scenarios. Every biome has a random range, and the seeds have random factors, and you could affect those random factors, and you could change them, and then you could change them as the game goes on. And all of those have to come together in one final score. And it may, like, to my mind says that sounds doable. So I'm like, I will figure that out. I'm sure I will figure that out. And
I wonder if any of the kids wish they had a time machine to go back and tell you to like settle down on the caterpillars or something, you know. Like.
I'm so happy that you did change that up between the beta and what was released. So I felt like I had a hard time with those butterflies.
Yeah, and you know the weeds was a super, like, I always, when I'm teaching kids programming, especially like a robotics competition team or something like that, you don't want to be changing your code like right before the, you know, one last thing. You never want to be doing that. And so the weeds was one of the one last things. You know, I was talking to my programmer and like the weeds just like they dominate the crops. You don't even have a chance to fight them manually because they take over the spot and they would replace the crop where they landed. And so I created a custom entity that looked like a weed that would appear and land and then start a timer. Like, if you don't get rid of me, I am going to take over this crop. And so then I was like, I prototyped it and I was like, this is great. This is way better because now you have a fighting chance against the weeds. You have a fighting chance against the caterpillars. And there's multiple ways to fight, especially like the caterpillars. Like when the caterpillar is inside your crops, you can actually like look in between the crosshairs of the wheat. If you look perfectly, you can actually remove the caterpillar. If you can do it fast enough.
Straight down, right? If you got that opening, right? If you look at the geometry of the crop and you look straight down into the crop, there is a sort of secret way.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe we can demo this. Let me see if I can grab a seed. I know I don't think we can necessarily spawn a caterpillar in this space, right? But if we, oh wait, I've got to till this as well. Let's till. You know, it's funny. Let me ask Kathy a question while we're doing this.
Oh yeah.
I want to ask you a question. You were brought in to replace, you know, a certain person. You know, that you may or may not know. But it was done so because of our experience with you as an educator. So for those who don't know on the stream, I work in South Florida. My job is as a role of supporting other teachers, helping facilitate the rollout of Minecraft to 275,000 plus students in South Florida. And a huge factor in that and making it a success, and it has been a success, has been Kathy. So Kathy is like one of us in Broward. The teachers of Broward love her. Some of the students know and love Kathy in Broward. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us, but I want to ask Kathy, what made you say yes? Like when you were like, hey, we want to bring you in as one of the lead educators on this project because there's this space to fill and we need someone who's got that expertise, but also honestly just kind of brings a joy to it. Like what made you say yes?
All right, so, well, the thing, okay. I don't even know where to start. So I am just really, really curious. Like I still, at my age, have this wonder about the world. And we had this opportunity to drive across the country. Well, actually, I should just say we drive a lot. We drive a lot. The kids' activities have us driving a lot. And one of the things that we did, not related to the kids' activities, but I had an opportunity to drive across the country. And it's just like when you see, when you look out the window, you're like, wow, look at all this. And for me, it was corn on this trip. And, it's just like, wow, there's so much food that is grown. And like, how do you decide what crop to put where? And so there was all of that. I mean, if I wasn't the driver, I'm always making whoever's the passengers are, Google things. I'm like, take this picture, find out what's growing over here. So they get driven bananas by me. Because then they're also like, Mom, you can't be looking stuff up while you're driving. So I don't, but it's super curious about all the things that grow. And then also, I guess at the beginning of COVID, reading all these articles about all this food going to waste, like not having the systems in place to divert the food that wasn't going to restaurants elsewhere to people that need it. So I just felt like, this is a great opportunity to learn more myself and also impact what students are learning about and having them wonder more about, well, it's beyond just going to the grocery store, because not everybody has that. So anyway, that's why I said yes.
I love that. And I love that you literally, I think you're the great model, lifelong learner, if you will. And I think, honestly, I think any teacher who's using Minecraft must be, right? Because how else do you say, okay, we're going to tackle this. Let's give it a shot.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anyone who's trying Minecraft, because there's a little bit of a learning curve and a little bit of, fear, like, oh my gosh, the kids know more than me. But that's part of the joy of it too, is that, you make that connection with the kids and they get to teach you things and see you in a different role. And, see you get excited about what they're doing. I'm watching some of these kids. I'm like, holy cow. Oh, Mrs. Chow Isaacs, let me show you this. They always want to show you something. And they show you something that's just amazing almost every time.
Every time. And it's funny, we made the joke, I think Kathy and I both made the joke that it's like when we're with the kids or when we see what the kids produce, and then there's this idea of like, hey kids, you're going to get to meet some of the experts. It's like, no, they just have to look in the mirror. Me. Right. No, they are the experts, even, potentially compared to anyone on the team. Brian, I would argue maybe expert because it's quite literally the career. You've made a living of it. So maybe pro would be the right word to use, right?
Well, and I also want to add, I do thank you, Eric, for saying those lovely things about our experience together at Broward. I love Broward County. I love everybody there. So
we've got some good folks.
For the opportunity. Love it.
We do have some good folks. But again, I will argue, if I had to give my why as to why this was an exciting opportunity, it's all of the things that I wish I had access to while I was in the classroom. So right now I'm not in the classroom. Right now I'm working for the district. Right now my job is to support teachers in their role of support with programs like these. And these are the programs that I always wanted. One of the things that I know we always discuss and that I do my best of, and I know we're lifting the veil a little bit with this entire session, is knowing who the experts are and knowing how to use them as a resource. And I think that's an extraordinarily important skill for students. It is one of the things that I think we need to constantly embrace and lift up is the idea of informational literacy and what that is. And beyond, of course, knowing how to find and vet resources is knowing what resources are. And sometimes those resources are people like Adam and Kate who are here. So Adam and Kate, forgive me if I treat you like a resource instead of the delightful human beings that you are in this particular moment. But that's, that has been the power of this, is that we've been able to leverage the two of you, especially amongst others that you've introduced us to, as content knowledge resources. So maybe we want to shift the conversation back there a little bit and talk about that, right? How do we get the content in here and utilize that? Sam, I'm going to let you go. I talk too much.
Yeah. Oh, no, not that you talk too much, but I was just going to say something that Farmcraft shows me, and I think something that we see with all the teams, is that we're teaching different team players how to use their voice. And, like mentioned earlier, sometimes the students really are the experts on some of these things. I mean, we've already received a Flipgrid video where a team may have figured out an exploit in the game. And we haven't published the video because they told us not to. But I think once you kind of create your goals for yourself and for your team, you kind of know what questions to ask. And I think having the ability to ask the questions that you're looking for is half the battle. I think people are so excited to answer questions that really once you get to that point where you know what you're looking for out of different experts, and it could be scientists like Dr. Kate and Dr. Adam, but it really is dependent on the questions that you're asking for of the world. And in Farmcraft specifically, we have seen that sometimes the experts really are the students. And when we're asking questions, if we're asking the students those questions, then they have the opportunity to show themselves as an expert and expand that voice. But I think for Kay and Adam, to bring it back to you both, I would like to kind of hear what lessons you were hoping to take out of this from the students. What was that one thing that you're like, if students were just more comfortable doing this, or they learned about this, it would make us super excited. Like, what were some of the things that you all were looking for from the Department of State side in the Farmcraft work?
I guess I'll go first, since I'm the ag guy. I guess I just really wanted students to have a better understanding of what agriculture is in the first place. I'll admit that my backyard was a cornfield, and my grandmother grew all of her own vegetables and a bunch of her own fruits. And yet I didn't pay attention to any of that. I didn't really know what it meant to go from a seed to a full plant. And even when I did, I didn't understand all of the concerns that were in between that process. Like, I sat down with an Ethiopian farmer once, and he told me that he sprays 27 times throughout a season for different kinds of pests, both weeds and insects that affect his plants. And the amount of daily work it really takes to make sure that that tiny little seed becomes something that people can eat. And it just kind of blew my mind. And so what I really hope is for students to have a better understanding of where their food comes from, and maybe, hopefully have a little bit of appreciation for that overall. And also I hope they had fun. That's also the big piece, is, like, that they had a good time while they were doing it, because I've had a blast. Kate?
Yeah, this program has been such a joy. I was really excited to have us in a video game space. I've been calling this video game diplomacy, which just makes me sound cool to like my little brother. But the part of it that I was really looking forward to were the food for thought talks that we did. I really enjoyed bringing the scientists into the game, and I actually would love to hear feedback from students who maybe watched those live streams, like what they thought of having a science talk inside of the game, or if anyone watched. It would be really great, I think, to hear sort of what students got from that. As a scientist myself, I was just really interested in that format too.
Well, it sounds like we were able to hopefully meet some of your expectations and interests, from
exceeded
well, thank you. then that's kudos to everyone else who's on this stream here who's done a superb job. Our objective at NASEF is really pretty simple, and that is to really focus on the disenfranchised, the disengaged kids who really haven't found a space for themselves, who love to game and play, and connect an opportunity for them to create community, to have voices, Samantha said, and to learn in a fun way. And through that, maybe identify opportunities for themselves through the play and learning for career opportunities. How can they find a space and a place for themselves in their own future? And it's great to hear from all of you that you've really met our goals, our expectations, and as Kate said, exceeded ours. This is far beyond what I think we all anticipated in the beginning when we first started this. And on behalf of NASEF, we can't thank you all enough for doing the great work you've done. And more importantly, for all of the students around the world who are engaging in this process, who are hopefully finding a space and a place for themselves where they could truly flourish and thrive and grow.
Thank you for that, Gerald. And I want to thank Gerald, Kate, and Adam for joining us for the first half of our stream today, because we really do want to give an inside look of how we were able to put this together to hopefully inspire everyone out there to understand the whys of impactful digital engagement with students. So I'm actually going to send Kate and Adam and Gerald off for the rest of their days. I think they're going to probably tune in on their own computers, but I know the rest of us have some other things that we want to talk about for the rest of our stream. So if we can get a goodbye to our guests in the chat, and then I'm kind of shifted, I guess, to Eric probably for the second half of this stream.
Sure, why
Thanks,
not?
everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, Adam.
Thank you
Bye,
so
Kate.
much.
Bye,
Bye, Adam.
Gerald.
Gerald.
See you later.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Is this where I get to just out loud say that I just absolutely love this group? Like, I love working with everyone who has been on this team. And so I'm excited, for everything that continues as part of it in any context. So whether that's, we have made friends. We have made friends, and we hope, I feel like Brian is over here doing weird stuff. Brian, what you doing?
Brian is doing crazy stuff.
There's more secrets. Yeah.
Oh,
More
okay.
secrets.
There's more secrets.
And
Okay,
then, so you said that out loud,
you did.
and I was gonna tease you for it, but no. Oh my goodness, there's a geyser. Wait.
There is.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a good time to talk about the game development as a whole. So you actually, while we were sitting here messing around, have brought some of the assets that were part of the Farmcraft world in. So we've got the Seedtron up here on the roof of the building. We've got our harvester over here in this sort of shedded area. And then you are creating what looks like a theme park water fountain celebration over here.
The log flume's coming.
So do we want to talk about maybe some of the creation of these assets, what tools were used, what went into the design process, and of course, how you even brought them in right now? Because I totally want to bring some stuff in.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because this fountain I made, I was doing a weekly live stream that's kind of on a break right now, but called Coding with Cleverlike, and I would try to share me coding in Minecraft so you could see what the process is like. In one of my episodes I created this water fountain for another project, but we brought it in to Farmcraft to mess around with it. And then I was like, I'm going to leave it in there. It's kind of fun, And so yeah, this fountain is just really, it's an entity that shoots out particle effects every, at a random interval, and you could place it in the ground and create fountain effects in water parks and things like that.
That's so awesome. Is that the same thing as the sprinkler, but in a different direction?
It's totally different, but it's a similar concept. It does use the same water texture, I think, but it's a totally different entity.
So is it tied to a particular in-game asset already, that if we were to go into the library while we're working in this fun laboratory, build your own laboratory space, where we might find it?
So if you have, so we kind of, the version that we're in has access to commands. I think if you were to, it's called a fountain. It's called Cleverlike : fountain. So if you had access to commands, I was summoning summon space.
Oh, you're summoning, not giving. Okay, I thought maybe you were giving yourself that.
Yeah, and you might be able to like if you middle click on entities, it gives you the spawn egg. So go middle click on that, and you'll get the spawn egg, and you can start placing.
Get right on it. There it is. Yeah.
Oh, I cannot.
All right, so now you know there's going to be fountains everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
You understand? We're just gonna do this right now. And
which is super cool.
Las Vegas has come alive.
Yes.
The Bellagio.
Yes.
We are
Cue the music.
That is right.
So this stuff is a lot of fun, and I have to like I work with a great team, like the Maurizio in Italy does he does all of our models, and I call him like the Santa Claus, because I feel like when I wake up in the morning and he's been working for the day and he gives me these models that are like way beyond my expectation. It's so much fun. He created the Seedtron and the Seedtron animations and all the other entities, custom entities that we designed purposely because we wanted the game to seem appealing and fun and, again, different than regular vanilla Minecraft. So where else do you get to drive a harvester and just chew up a bunch of crops and harvest a bunch of crops in a game?
For a second, I thought Sam was just going to drive it over the side, but I don't know if that's possible based on where we are.
I want to come back.
And I want to talk about this actually, Brian, because I think this is a good point, because a lot of what we do with NASEF and a lot of what was involved in this program is exposing students to real world situations. And then, of course, in our one of our last streams, we talked about how to pursue careers in some of these fields. So, for example, how to pursue a career, studying or researching insects was something that came up. But it's not the only career field out there. And some of the career fields that we are exposing students to through this process are through things like game development and 3D design and all of those things that are part of sort of the Minecraft space. So let's ask you some of those same questions. If students wanted to pursue a career in something like this, because again, this can be part of the same thing. If your goal in life is, you want to educate people about some of the experiences we've done in Farmcraft, but you would love to take what you've seen here further, right? Because there are career fields in that area. You are an example of that. How do you do that? How do you get there? and what are the various jobs, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with, like, for me, it's like that interest and the curiosity rules all, because think about it. Like anybody that's an expert, where do they start? They started not knowing anything. They started exactly where you are or behind where you are already, if you have some knowledge. So everyone has the capacity to learn, and it's really just a matter of how you invest your time and your curiosity and your thought processes. And so I think about that, like from when I was a kid, and when I saw computers at the store, was just amazing to me. I watched people over their shoulder because I was too scared to approach the computer, and I learned by watching over their shoulder. And one day somebody left a computer running, and I took their little program down on a piece of paper. It was like 3 lines of code, but to me it was like gold. And I saved it until the day I got a computer, and I wrote that in, and it's kind of started me going on this journey. And it's just a lot of time and curiosity, and the struggle isn't painful when you're enjoying it, and the payoff, like this is the payoff. You get to create something like this when you invest. And this was not easy. It was stressful. It was a struggle. It was, a worry. What are people going to think? You worry about how people are going to judge you. You worry about if it's going to break, if you're going to get it done on time, all that stuff. But it's worth it because of the work. So I think that's the number one, is that if you invest your time and your energy in the thing that you're interested in, you will become an expert. You will become somebody that other people want to hire, and you'll become a pro, and you'll be able to teach other people. And so I think that's the most important. And you have so many resources, like the live streams that I do and the things that I've done on my YouTube channel that teach people like how to do this stuff. The resources are there for you to find and go through, and communities with programs like Discord and other things like that, and other websites. People are willing to help you figure things out. Finding the right friends, I think, is a good one too. Like when you find your tribe, you know, your peers that they motivate you, they inspire you, they challenge you, you have fun together. Like I think finding your right peer group that keeps you focused in your area of interest and energy is valuable. And so for this job, like this world that was created, the student that made this world just accepted a full scholarship to Cornell for the architecture program.
Wow.
And he had to decide Cornell, Berkeley, like the colleges that he got accepted to is just astounding. And so, but he took his interest for architecture and Minecraft and combined it to a way where he's going to have a really bright future career because of the way he invested his time in Minecraft. So I think that's one of the things. So if you're spatially oriented towards the building and the blocks, there's careers like architecture, and then the modeling, animating. Maurizio he's a pixel artist, but and also Gatlin Shadows, our creative director. Both of them are they work in the 3D space really well. So they were able to model and animate these entities. And that translates to any program, anything you see in Unreal Engine, Roblox, any game, they have models like this, and they 3D printing even uses 3D modeling. So I think that skill set is really translatable to a lot of different careers as well. If that inspires you.
I have to check something.
What happens? I turned command blocks off, so you're going to be able to keep going.
Oh, okay. We're not gonna.
So actually,
we're not going to do that all day then.
And then I'll take you down to the other cool thing is the storytelling, like the amount of dialogue that went into this, the amount of planning, and the like. What do we do first? What are we going to do next? How are they going to say? Where are they going to meet? How's this going to flow? That is a great thing for people that like to tell stories, you know, that like to, you know, be in charge of the situation. There's opportunities like that in gaming. Like how do you architect an experience for other people? Gaming has like so much, you know, and then it gets to we haven't even talked about the coding part, right? So so Eric, I'm going to teleport you to me. I could teleport everybody to me. I'm going to give everyone night vision first. And then I'm going to teleport you to here. Okay, and so this is the programming area.
What?
Inside look.
So this is
behind the scenes.
How we kind of had to set all of this to be running all the time. So regardless of what biome you go in, like this is always running and ready to go. But you see it's organized by color codes. So you can see each biome is in a different color code. There's the 5 biomes, and then there's the purple area that kind of runs the game programming, the basic stuff that tries to stop you from hacking and things like that. But all of these command blocks, like how you code in Minecraft, you actually take a line of code and put it into a block and then put another block after it. and these are just basically like programming functions here. And there are also functions that you can program. But if you like the idea of controlling the environment, like having a programming language where you type something and it does exactly what you say, and then being able to tie those together. I think that's what's exciting about coding is like you're really actually inventing. Like I always wanted to be an inventor as a kid. Inventor, you know, it just sounds so cool. And so I really am that because that's what I get to do with coding. You get to invent and make things your own. And it takes patience, you know, but it's patience, curiosity, and then the reward of when you get something to work is.
Brian, this is incredible.
Yeah, this is so cool to look at. And I've definitely, you know, I've worked with command block, but I mean, this is more.
Not like this. But then you know what I appreciate too is just being able to see this behind the scenes. Like when you're teaching coding, you know, one of the things that you're always kind of encouraging and saying this is a best practice is like the commenting of the code. And here you are, it's like, here's a sign. This is what this whole stack does. This is what this whole stack does. So that anyone coming in, whether it's in a week, a month, 15 minutes, they know exactly what this stack of command blocks does.
And honestly, this is so much more fun for internal notation than a hashtag and, you know, like a pound sign and just some notes, right? Like this is much better.
Like if anyone from my class is listening.
Well, and of course, Kathy, you have me as a resource. I'm happy to, you know, show people, you know, point them in the right direction to finding out more about how this is done. Like one of the great ways of learning how to code is to reverse engineer. Like, so how do you look at this and tear it apart and figure out, it's a puzzle. Like how can you figure out what it's doing? Now this program, granted, is very complicated like this, but you could take little pieces of it and start to learn how it works. You could see I have these rows of crops. One of them is fully tilled, one of them is fully seeded. And that's how I know whether when you're finished tilling, when your crop area matches this one. Yeah.
Wait, so that's like a comparison.
Yep. Test for blocks is the command.
Oh my gosh.
Do you want to tell us about the back scratcher?
Yes, I keep seeing that.
Very interested. Sam is very interested in the back scratcher.
Yeah, the back scratcher.
One thing I do appreciate too with just all of this inside look is not only do you see the story of how it all works, but then you can get like an inside look of the people behind it. And just like, you know, this probably doesn't exist for no other reason than the sheer joy of having it here, which I love.
Too many sleepless nights. You're like I forget how it came about, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to put a sign there, and that's the back scratcher. We're going to leave that. It's going to stay there. Now, this sand pile over here, this was kind of funny because the way the world was built had a lot of sand to it. And you know how we build a lot of stuff in Java, and then we transfer it to we transfer it to Bedrock, and sand kind of stays put until you interact with it. When you interact with it, then it updates and decides if gravity affects it. And so we interacted with some sand up above, and the whole thing just fell to the ground. We're like, oh no! So we had to like rebuild all of that. And so what we decided to do was like turn this into the team monument, so you could see.
This is where the credits are hidden. This is
So we put the team.
If you're familiar with the first in-game Easter egg ever, you know. The game adventure, right? This is where you found the credits of the developer. Yours is very similar. Like you got
right, and I think it's a great way of seeing like a healthy team is, you know, how do we still make sure that we're humans at the end of this? Like, of course, we can work so hard and create awesome things, but at the end of the day, we're still having good days, we're still having bad days. And even in the Farmcraft team, in our meeting agendas, we have little pictures that we've collected over time that kind of are our little smiles. So it's nice to see that even in the mayor of Farmcraft clever-like teams.
Yes, it is nice to see that the mayor title made it in here.
Yeah, yeah. And like Ace Unhacked with the coding, Sam Lenicky with the music and sound effects, and Snake Eyes did the trailer, Adam with the building, Azier, who's Maurizio, with the models and the texture, and Caitlin Shadow, our creative director, with the interiors. Just what it's so great. I can't tell you enough like how wonderful it is when you find the right people to work with, and that's a lifelong endeavor for a lot of people to find the right people to work with. Like this team, the Farmcraft team, like it's just makes things such a joy, and you create amazing things like all of these live streams and the way the competition was run and everything. Like it just doesn't happen without a great team. And so that's really
I may have just added my own touch to the monument.
I like that. Yeah, thank you. I have another surprise up here in the sky.
You know, I did see like a platform up there. I was curious about. I don't know if that's where you're headed. Oh, that is where you headed. Yeah.
So one of the It's lonely up here, but it's important work. So this is our game state of this guy keeps track of our game state. So he's the one that we just tagging him. So yeah, there you go. We're tagging him with all of the information that we need to keep track of, and we check with him if it's okay. Is it okay? Like, do they have enough money? Did they already buy seeds for drought tolerance? This guy keeps track of all that, and so whenever
right click on the guy.
There's nothing there. It's just like it could be an armor stand. It could be any entity, but we thought it'd be fun to make it one of the farmers.
Wow.
So
let's
that's
take a selfie with him. Hold on.
So that's like a little state machine that we use. Oh, yeah. I want to take you to somebody found the cold biome had a glitch. You guys remember that?
Yes. There was a glitch in the cold biome. So
there was a glitch. I want to show. I want to show you that.
You're going to show us the glitch and or the solution, or just
I want to show you why. I want to show you the glitch. Yeah, like okay. So I'm going to TP you guys all to me in just a second.
Is this where we tell the viewing audience who may not be Minecraft players that TP stands for teleport and not toilet paper?
Toilet paper.
Yes,
give me some TP.
Yeah.
So we had a problem where the NPC that you go to and interact with is one NPC, but then if another page shows up in a string of dialogue that you didn't interact with the NPC for, that's actually coming from a different NPC. And so normally what we'll do is we'll bury that NPC in the ground right below the one that's talking to you. And so their face will show up as the one talking to you in the little window. In this biome, there was not enough space under the NPC to put another one. So if you head into the barn and start breaking some of the hay.
I'm going to guess the taller pile. Oh, yeah, there's a space down here.
Yeah. So this little house here is where that NPC is hiding. So that's why you weren't seeing the next window of dialogue, because your render distance didn't have this NPC rendered into the game yet. Mm-hmm. And so it was trying to show the second page of dialogue, but because your render distance was too short, it wasn't showing this one because they were too far away. So we buried this one maybe a little too far away in the hay.
Wow.
So that's the reason
solution,
for that.
The fix was increase your render distance and you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's fun. It's fun. Like the amount of, that's the cool thing is like the stuff you have to make happen, for the game to play, people don't notice it.
I think that's a lot of it, right? Like a lot of what we teach when we teach computer science, because both Kathy and I teach computer science. And this thing is back again, we focus maybe a little bit less on the languages, especially when we consider the grade levels that are being taught, right? What are the odds that a fourth grader who's learning to code for the first time is going to use any of the existing programming languages by the time they enter college or the workforce, right? It's just knowing how rapidly these languages evolve. But what they are going to use is the computational thinking. That isn't going to change. So what is interesting about that is this idea of how do we logic this problem out, right? Which is how do I come up with a solution that works, and then how do I apply that solution in a way that is logical, right? How do I, for lack of a better term, how do I think like the computer?
Yep.
Or at least, for computers, we say computers are smart, or we have smartphones. They're not smart. They're only as smart as we make them, and they only follow the directions we give them. So the question is, as a programmer or a developer, how can we think about it in a way that's going to allow the computer to for everyone else to say this is pretty smart?
Yeah, and what I love about that too is that computers, ones and zeros, the very binary level, they're very simple ones and zeros, and the great thing about a lot of these complicated programming tasks is that they're just a series of very simple things put together. So when you look at it that way and just tackle the one problem at a time, any huge, undertaking becomes easy because it's really, you're just doing, small things together.
Makes total sense. And so speaking of that, I think it's very important. We won't share it now, but I feel like people want to see what the exploit was.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll just make the promise that once the entries for the scoreboard are over,
mm-hmm.
we will share what that is. So speaking of entries for the scoreboard, Sam.
Wow, that's a great segue.
I'm going to segue over.
Wow. That's right. So this Friday, May 14th, the leaderboard scores are closing. So be sure to get your screenshots and your best Farmcraft scores in there. From there, the top teams will be in the running for the prizing. But we have so many teams that are participating that aren't necessarily trying to get the highest scores. And so we have a ton of videos from throughout the season that we are going to be sharing during awards. So we're going to have a lot of different highlight reels on Wednesday, May 26th, when we return to our YouTube stream for our final NASEF Farmcraft stream of the season. I know I think we've had
now you made me
so
sad.
many. I know. So get your scores in. I want to thank everyone for joining today, and for Brian for giving us that behind the scenes tour. I think we definitely should clip that and share that because a lot of the students are going to be excited to see what's behind the curtain. Any last thoughts before we wrap our second to last stream?
No, my only thought is I have to delete this world file because of the chaos we made, so I don't accidentally open it up when it's time, or share it when it's time to share Farmcraft with others. I may have gone a little crazy when
With the
given
fountains?
assets I don't normally have access to.
I have one
I
more.
could end with one more screen share, but
I have one more secret. There is a secret inside of the cold biome house.
Ooh.
If you find it, you could tweet it to us.
We do have a Flipgrid feedback form as well. So if you check your adult sponsor emails, you can submit Flipgrid videos in there. So exploits, cheats, broken glitches, feel free to throw anything like that in there, because I think there's a lot of tension between gamers and developers sometimes, but also that's some of the fun is when there are exploits and you can speed run faster because you do certain things.
Oh yeah. That's part of the creativity is seeing how people solve problems in a creative way.
That's it. Farmcraft speedrun next time. That's the plan. No.
Kathy found it.
I followed you around.
Oh, did you? Okay, so they're not. I'm not screen sharing right now. We're not screen sharing.
I'm gonna turn off my HUD.
Hold on.
They can't find me.
She's gonna take a screenshot.
Oh, in the house. See, I was going into the barn too. You said house.
It's in the house, yeah.
It's in the house.
Oh boy, I gotta get close enough or far enough so I can see it all. Okay, there we go. Screenshot is happening now.
Yeah,
Woo!
Kathy and Eric and Sam, you guys have been awesome to work with, and Kate and Adam. It's just been for me, it's been a great experience. So thank you guys.
Thank you. It's so much learning from you. I love seeing behind the curtain. It's fascinating.
I really do. And yes, now that I know this Easter egg is here, I'm excited to see who will be. So I'm going to say there's an instruction in here that when you find it, to tweet it out. Yeah. So I'm I want to follow now to see if and who is the first one to tweet this one out, because I won't do it. I'm not going to do it.
Oh, wait. All right, stand back a little so we can take a selfie.
Okay. All right, go for it.
We'll move towards the flower. Towards the flower.
Oh, you want me in there? Okay.
Yeah, I do. No,
tell me when I'm
okay,
in a
look up, please. Thank you. Oh, wait, and then of course I
saw that.
All right, got it.
No one else saw it though, because we're not giving the secret away just yet. All right.
Everyone in the chat wants to know. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for being golden as always, and everyone who joined us on our stream today and in the chat as always. So happy Wednesday, everyone. We will be back in 2 weeks, or Thursday, if it's Thursday where you are, which I know some of our teams are a day later than us. Yeah, we'll be back. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Thanks.